I am on the campus of Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, and it's a Saturday, and I'm going to see a little bit of the campus, then I'm going to go walk down into the center of Pullman itself, and I've never been here before. Born in Washington, lived here all my life, but I've never been to Pullman or the WSU campus in the eastern part of the state. So all of this is new to me. This is Gesa Field. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And one thing about Washington State University is in the state of Washington, it does have a reputation as being like a sports-oriented school. This is a go-team school. And, in places that reputation might be exaggerated because there are many other programs or departments here, but it does have that aspect to it. And, you do see there are some stadiums around here. But there's also Jordan Schnitzer Museum of Art. So there was the Student Union building. I went in there to use the restroom and drink some water, and the very helpful people there gave me a map of campus. I said, do you have a map of campus in town? I said, here's a map of campus that pretty much covers the town. So Pullman is very much based around the university. It's very much a university town. At least that's what I've heard, and that's my presupposition, but we will see how true that is when we go downtown. This is pretty typical of college and university campuses, I think everywhere. I certainly saw it in Costa Rica, as we have a mixture of architectural styles. So over there, we see some old brick that could actually be 1920s or could be into the 50s, don't know. And then some of that looks 50s into 70s, and that is halfway between brutalism and modernism there. That could be any time in the past 40 to 50, 60 years. And then this building looks newer. And obviously, I'm not an expert on architecture, I've said many times, but you do see a variety of architectural styles here. A little bit of eclecticism. Another thing that's fairly obvious is that it's empty here. This is summer, and I asked in the Student Union building, even though they're still open, it is now not just summer term, but classes are over. There are some events or something going on, but this is pretty much the most quiet it will ever be. So in autumn or something, this entire plaza will be buzzing with students embarking on a voyage of self-discovery. Based on the size of the buildings, I would say this campus is also obviously bigger than Cheney campus. Maybe about the size of Oregon State University, but that can be really deceptive because of buildings are sometimes bigger on the inside, and the structure of classes can be different. So I don't know if there's actually more students, but it does feel to be an expansive campus. Also tall, and it does feel here, it feels kind of industrial, very different than the Eastern Washington University campus or the Oregon State University campus. But that's just a first impression, and it's on a day that's kind of atypical. This might look different when it's full of students. The flagship university in Washington State is the University of Washington, which has its main campus in Seattle. And the difference in reputation between University of Washington and Washington State University is bigger than the difference between University of Oregon and Oregon State University. But some of that might be stereotypes I've just absorbed, that this is like a party school and people come here to play ball and drink beer. And I've talked about, the stereotypes about universities being wrong before. Like when I was in Humboldt, at Arcata, I said this is not just a university to smoke weed, or not more than your average university. So I don't know actually what life is like at Washington State University. Don't know about its academic programs or who the student body is, and probably a lot of what I know is what I remember from my uncle went here, like a previous generation. And unfortunately, this is not the right time to find out, because now I'm just kind of walking around in an empty university. But it seems like, an attractive campus, and you can tell there is obviously a lot going on here because there's a lot of buildings. I'm actually getting ready to leave the university and see the town. I would have liked to leave campus through some type of big ornate ceremonial gate, but looks like I'm just walking out of this parking lot land. And I hope this road leads into downtown, or at least leads somewhere. It looks like a big old highway. I'll stop and I'll look at my map. So just a short walk down this highway. I think at the next light, I will be in town. Crossing over this peaceful, quiet little creek, at least it is in August. And we might find another park with more creek access later. But for now, I do want to see what is in the center of Pullman right here. So here we are, downtown Pullman. Like I said, I haven't been here before, but based on what I know, I bet there will be some type of pizza somewhere in this town. That's my guess. So it looks like there's some new construction here, and if I had to guess, I would say that's 4-in-1 with apartments above retail. And then, then as we walk down the street, we're approaching a central shopping and dining district, which is, what you expect to find, a nice place. Look, coffee. That's how you get through university, right? We have this here. I'm going to turn and walk through this little plaza with these murals, see what's going on this bridge. You know that I love footbridges. So unlike some of these bridges, which are reconstructed railroad bridges, this said City of Pullman 2006, and you can see that's a wood frame. So it's meant to imitate the look of a railroad bridge, but it was built as a pedestrian bridge. And right here, I think on the other side, we have the river walk, and probably when I walk back towards the university, I'll walk along that. But for now, I do want to go and see more of the center of town. And much as I said in the university, this is the summer of the summer, not much going on. And so downtown is also not very hopping right now. This plaza is empty, but I think that's just a function of the year. Most of the people who would normally be here are at home in Tacoma or Vancouver or the Tri-Cities, Everett, wherever they come from. So there we go, used bookstore next to pizza. Here we have Pups and Cups, cafe and wine bar. Is that like a place where you can take your dog to drink wine, be yourself? I'm working on it. Yogatopia. So yeah, this is a downtown shopping, dining, service district, a little bit twee, like kind of what you'd expect in a college town. And one thing I will say, just to inject some negativity into a perfect day, a lot of times places like this, really nice to visit a place like this once or twice, but if you were in university here for 4 years, pizza and wine, if it's just this one block, not really a diverse urban experiences with a lot of services and a lot of different types of businesses once you've had your coffee and ice cream. So you can still see at that light, that's the main shopping and dining district, the center of town. And I've just walked a couple minutes outside of it. You can see town has already changed to look like a typical small town or suburb. So that is one thing that I like to talk about, even though it's a little bit negative, that like when you go to a town like this, a college town, a resort town, retirement, tourist town, stuff like that, a lot of times there's a lot of fun stuff for a week or two, but then you have to think, what would it be like to live here full time? And I don't know the answer to that, but it doesn't just look like that little downtown core. I'm still walking on the outskirts of town, and the reason I'm doing this is I saw on the map where the post office was, and I wanted to go there, and it looked 2,000 feet. Okay, that's a 10-minute walk at most. And it's one of the times where distances might be longer than they think. I'll see how far I am when I get to this light ahead. Also, there might be more to the town there, so maybe it's good I came this way. I'd walk for a while, and this big building is the post office. First, when I saw that on my map, I thought this was like a shopping center, and it was just a unit in there, but this is the full post office. And it's big, and it's actually architecturally not what I usually see for a post office. It looks like a church of some sort. There is also a bus system, and I've seen some buses driving around. I would have thought of that. I might have brought fare. I don't know if it takes cash or where it goes. Seems to be more of a circulator than a bus, so to speak. And might be more trouble than it's worth. And I am glad I walked up to the post office just because it did allow me to see. I think this might be more typical of the area than just what we saw downtown. So it did allow me to see the real side of the city, so to speak. Well, speaking of a bus, there is the lentil route. Don't know what that means. I guess I'm just gonna have to do research when I get back home just because I'm curious about that. So that sign is for Moscow, Idaho, if that's not clear. And there's also a university there, so we have kind of like a twin university towns. And this road, I believe, if we follow it, this will just go back to Spokane. So to put this town in context, we are a little bit more than 60 miles south of Spokane. So maybe 90 minutes south of Spokane on a highway that goes through farm country. So there's not a lot around. There's Moscow in Idaho, there's Pullman here, and then Spokane is really the closest city you can get to. So that also kind of factors into my equations of what I was saying about this town, that like very nice here, but outside of here you do have to go a while to find anything else. This is the public library. I asked a couple questions. Very nice library with helpful people. And I'm going to start heading back up to the university. I came down here with a ride, not on transit, so I am rejoining after my walk around town. So I was worried that'd be like some fancy pizza place and they try to sell me a slice with apples on it for $9.95. Got 3 slices of cheese pizza and a fountain drink for $6.48. They actually threw in an extra slice. So between the pizza and jazz music, I am now officially happy. Used bookstore tempting. I'm not going in there though. I've crossed the bridge, and that way the trail continues, well, towards town and away from town. But right now I'm walking back up to the university. Wish I would have known about this path when I came down, because it's a lot more pleasant of a stroll than by the highway. So this appears to be another road to enter campus. And there was that short trail there, and I think there is some more trails around town. I didn't really see it, and I don't know for certain, but I'm assuming just on, the area that there's probably a lot of natural activities outside of town. Maybe to go wild because, just outside of town is farms, but there's probably lots of outdoor activities to do, so there might be more amenities if you live here full time. University campus, and I have to walk around all of this, and they said, take the sky bridge ahead. Well, I don't need to be persuaded to take a sky bridge. So this is maybe a more typical picturesque university scene. And we have our sky bridge here. So to sum up, it's kind of maybe a glib answer or something, but I really did like the downtown area, but it seemed pretty small. And so my answer for this town, how easy it would be to live here, or how nice it would be to live here, seems like a nice place to visit, but living might be a little bit harder because once you've exhausted the obvious tourist and college stuff, you are in a small town that's far away from other things. But, that's just my opinion. Well, that's just your opinion, man. So for other people, this might just be a totally perfect place. And I'm glad I saw it because, like I said, I'm born in Washington, lived here so long, big Pacific Northwest traveler, but never been to Pullman. But now I have, and this will conclude the video for today as far as I know, but there will be more. Still going to travel around, especially if the summer heat does start easing off.